I'm Michelle, 28. Standing in my mom's kitchen, I'm seething with anger. My hands balled into fists so tightly that my knuckles turn white. Mom sits at the table, a wedding magazine open in front of her, but her eyes are now wide with shock, fixed on me. The envelope with the mortgage check I just placed on the counter seems to burn a hole in my vision, a silent witness to my long, endured sacrifices. You'll never be as good as your sister, Lisa. She has everything together, Mom says, her voice cold and indifferent, as if my years of hard work and dedication mean nothing. The words hit me like a sledgehammer, but instead of the usual self-doubt, a wave of clarity washes over me. Then ask her to pay your bills. I snap back, my voice steady, though every syllable is charged with years of pent-up frustration. Mom's face pales, and the magazine slips from her hands, fluttering to the floor like a wounded bird. She stares at me, mouth agape, as if I've spoken in a foreign language. It all started long ago, when I was just a kid growing up in a small town. Lisa, 2 years older than me, was the golden child. In school, while I struggled with math, Lisa breezed through advanced courses like it was nothing. I remember sitting in the hallway during parent-teacher conferences, my heart sinking as I heard Mom and my teacher talk about my mediocre grades. Michelle is a sweet girl, but she lacks the drive that Lisa has, Mrs. Thompson, my teacher, would say. Mom would nod solemnly, and on the way home, she'd lecture me about how I needed to try harder. Art was my escape. I'd spend hours in my room, lost in a world of colors and shapes. One day, I excitedly showed Mom a painting I'd worked on for weeks. She barely glanced at it. "That's nice, honey. Did you hear Lisa won another science competition?" The words felt like a dagger in my heart. As we got older, the gap between us only widened. Lisa went to an Ivy League university on a full scholarship, while I attended a community college. When her acceptance letter from Harvard Law arrived, our house was filled with celebration. Relatives called, sent gifts, and the party lasted for hours. When my community college acceptance letter came, Mom just sighed. "Well, at least you're continuing your education." Lisa always said community colleges have their place. In adulthood, the comparisons continued. Lisa excelled at law school, making law review and landing internships at top-tier firms. I, on the other hand, got a job at a small marketing firm after graduating from community college. Mom always referred to my job as my little art thing. When neighbors asked about her daughters, Mom would light up talking about Lisa's achievements. "Lisa is making waves at law school. She's going to be a big-time lawyer." Then, she'd add, almost as an afterthought, "Michelle does some design work for local businesses." My personal life was no different. Lisa was dating Alex, a successful investment banker. They went on fancy vacations, attended high society events, and their relationship was the talk of the town. I, meanwhile, dated a series of creative types, like Jake, a musician. Mom would always say, "Jake seems nice, but Lisa's Alex has such a stable career. You should look for someone more established." One Tuesday morning in March, everything changed. I was at work designing a logo for a local coffee shop when Mom called. Her voice was panicked, barely coherent. "Your dad had a heart attack. He's being rushed to the hospital." I dropped everything and raced to the hospital. For 8 long hours, we waited for news. The surgery was successful, but Dad would need months of recovery and wouldn't be able to work. Mom finally confided in me about their financial situation. They'd been living paycheck to paycheck, and with Dad out of work and mounting medical bills, they were on the verge of losing their home. Without hesitation, I offered to help. "Don't worry about asking Lisa. She's so busy with her work and wedding planning. I can handle this until Dad gets back on his feet." Mom looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and doubt. "Are you sure you can afford this? I know your art business isn't exactly booming." Over the next few weeks, I took on extra freelance projects. I worked 12-hour days designing websites, creating marketing materials, and taking any job that came my way. My social life vanished, but I was determined to keep my parents home. Meanwhile, Lisa was busy planning her dream wedding. Mom would talk to Lisa on the phone, updating her on Dad's medical progress, but she never mentioned the financial crisis or my efforts to save the day. As time went on, my freelance business started to thrive. I got referrals, repeat clients, and my reputation began to grow. But Mom still saw it as those little projects. When I mentioned being tired from working late, she'd say, "You need to manage your time better like Lisa does." Then came Lisa's engagement party. Mom insisted on throwing an elaborate celebration, using some of the money I'd been providing. The party was a grand affair, with caterers, elegant decorations, and a guest list of over 50 people. Lisa arrived in a stunning designer dress, her diamond engagement ring sparkling in the light. Alex stood beside her, looking every bit the successful businessman. Relatives surrounded them, congratulating and praising them. I stood in the corner, near the punch bowl, mostly ignored. During the reception, Mrs. Jenkins, a neighbor, asked Mom about her daughters. "How are Lisa and Michelle doing?" Mom's response cut me like a knife. "Lisa is clearly thriving. She's on the fast track at her law firm and is engaged to a wonderful man. Michelle is still trying to figure things out with her little art projects." I felt the humiliation wash over me like a tidal wave. I'd been working myself to the bone to keep the family afloat, and yet, in Mom's eyes, I was just the one who couldn't get it together. After the party, as I helped clean up, Mom continued to gush about Lisa. Wasn't she just radiant tonight? Alex's family was so impressed. This is exactly what Lisa deserves after all her hard work. The final straw came a few days later when I came to drop off the mortgage payment. Mom was in the kitchen, looking at wedding magazines, talking about the amazing venue Lisa had found. The Lakeside Manor has an opening next summer, and Lisa's putting down a deposit tomorrow. "It's perfect for her big day," Mom said, not even looking up from the magazine. I did the math in my head. The venue cost more than I'd contributed to my parents' expenses in the past 4 months. And still, Mom seemed oblivious to my sacrifices. When Mom started in on my appearance and career choices again, I snapped. That's when I said those words, "Then ask her to pay your bills." As I stand in the kitchen now, Mom starts to cry. "I didn't realize," she stammers. "Didn't realize what, Mom?" "That while Lisa was planning her fancy wedding and vacations, I was working myself to death to keep you from losing your home? That every time I gave you a check, I was sacrificing my own future?" I pull out my phone, showing her bank statements and payment confirmations. March mortgage, my money. April utilities, my money. Dad's medications, my money. Mom's face grows paler with each revelation. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispers. "I did, Mom. Every time I helped, every time I mentioned working extra hours, you just chose not to see it because it didn't fit your idea of who the successful daughter was." The conversation that follows is long and emotional. Mom tries to justify her behavior, saying she just wanted the best for both of us, but her words ring hollow. I make it clear that I'm done being the lesser daughter. I'm not asking for more love than Lisa, just to be seen for who I am and what I've done. In the weeks that follow, things start to change. Mom calls Lisa and explains everything. Lisa is shocked and filled with guilt. She calls me the next day, her voice full of remorse. "Michelle, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. I would have helped if I'd known." She immediately arranges to take over the major expenses and helps my parents set up an emergency fund. Mom also begins to change. She starts asking about my clients by name, and when I land a new contract, she actually celebrates with me. When neighbors ask about her daughters, she says, "Lisa is doing great at the law firm, and Michelle has built an amazing design business." I'm proud of both my girls. My freelance business continues to grow. I'm able to leave my day job and focus full time on my own company. I also start dating again, this time with more confidence. I meet Tom, a teacher, and when I introduce him to my family, Mom welcomes him with open arms. 6 months after that life-changing confrontation in the kitchen, we have a Thanksgiving dinner. The atmosphere is warm and relaxed. Everyone is sharing stories, and there's no underlying tension. Mom makes my favorite dessert alongside Lisa's. As we sit around the table, Uncle Bob asks about our lives. Mom smiles and says, Lisa is making a name for herself at the law firm, and Michelle's design business is really taking off. I'm so proud of how hard both my daughters work. Looking back, that moment in the kitchen was a turning point. I finally found the courage to stand up for myself, and in doing so, I changed not only my relationship with Mom, but also the entire dynamic of our family. I've learned that sometimes you have to speak your truth, even when it's hard, because only then can you start to be truly seen and valued.